Good morning.
Good morning, Father.
In today's gospel, Jesus teaches his disciples and us a powerful lesson. Now, he sent his disciples on a mission to teach and to heal. Now they have come back from the mission. And John goes to Jesus with this report. He says to him, "Teacher, we saw someone driving out demons in your name. And we tried to prevent him because he does not follow us." Now that someone did something amazing. He was casting out demons. Wow. No small thing. Yet, John says, we tried to stop him because he was not following us. Now, what is the key word in this statement? I would suggest that the key word here is us. Us. Notice, John does not say, we tried to prevent him because he is not following you, Jesus. That's not what he says. We tried to prevent him because he is not following us. He was not part of our group. And it does not make any difference that he was doing something amazing in the name of Jesus. Now, of course, Jesus responds to this report. And Mark tells us, Jesus replied, "Do not prevent him. There's no one who performs a mighty deed in my name who can at the same time speak ill of me." And then Jesus ends with this statement, which has kind of become proverbial in our culture. He says, "For whoever is not against us is for us." Now, what Jesus is basically saying here to John and his disciples is this: don't create unnecessary divisions. In our world, so divided, this is a powerful message. Don't create divisions, us and them fighting against each other for this or that reason. When you read the Gospels, you realize very quickly that one sure sign of rejection of Jesus and his message are divisions in our world. Jesus was the lover of unity. He came to bring people together. He invited everyone to follow him, to be part of his family, part of his community. The Jews, Samaritans, Gentiles, men and women, poor and rich, lepers and tax collectors, and last week, do you remember? Even little children. And he had to say to his disciples, do not prevent the little children from coming to me. Everybody belonged. Jesus was the shepherd who came to gather people, not to divide them. Now, Moses, in our first reading, also refuses to fall into this false argument of us and them. God's Spirit can rest on anyone, even Eldad and Medad. I think those are cool names. I think these two guys were twins, Eldad and Medad. Wonderful names. I mean, obviously they are not with the 70 when God takes the spirit of Moses and places the spirit of Moses on the 70 and they are prophesying. They are not with them. They are in the camp. And yet, God gives them exactly the same spirits to prophesy. And Joshua says to Moses, stop them. They are prophesying, stop them. And basically what Moses says to them is, that should not be the cause of resentment. It should be a cause to celebrate. Now this coming Friday, October 4th, the church celebrates the feast of St. Francis of Assisi. And I went to a Franciscan high school, so I have a great love for St. Francis. Now, when we often think of St. Francis, we think of a prayer of St. Francis, which is wonderful, and it was not written by him, by the way. We think of the blessing of the pets, and we will have the blessing of the pets next Sunday, and Moya is looking forward to it, big time. She's looking forward to the blessing, not to the sprinkling with the holy water. She doesn't like the water, even though it's holy. However, St. Francis, was so much more. What St. Francis of Assisi did was no small thing. He refused to exclude anything and anyone. That was at the heart of it. And by it, I mean his faith, his life, his mission, his preaching, and his actions. I would suggest that in St. Francis of Assisi, there was no exclusion impulse. Sure, I agree with you. That's not how he started. When he was a young man, he went and participated in the Crusades. But that is where he ended. No exclusion impulse. For him, everything and everyone belonged to God. The sun and the moon, the birds and the flowers, the wolf and the lamb were his sisters and brothers. So were life and death. He preached to the Sultan of Egypt and to the birds and to the wolf. In 2016, the movie or a documentary drama entitled The Sultan and the Saint was released. It tells the story of St. Francis making all the efforts, even putting his own life at risk to end crusades and to make peace with Sultan al-Kamil, to make peace between Christians and Muslims. In Francis, after his conversion, there was no exclusion impulse. He went to talk to his enemies, and the Sultan was so amazed by his courage and his wisdom and his genuine love that they became friends. Francis embraced everyone and everything. He embraced his own strengths and weaknesses. He did not hide from them, from the shadows of his life. And believe me, there were many, many shadows. That is why he wore patches on his habits, that is to say, the Franciscan robe. He wanted to show everyone that his inner life was made of patches as well. He did not want to hide anything. He included everything. He embraced it all. You see, dividing people into holy and unholy to St. Francis would not make any sense whatsoever. We are all holy and unholy at the same time. And Francis knew that in the depth of his heart, and he knew that from his own life experience. And he embraced both. He included both. You know? Francis did not exclude anything or anyone. That's why he goes to the edge, he goes to the poor, he goes to the bottom, and he kisses the leper. Now, throughout history, religions have tended intentionally or unintentionally. Religions have tended to exclude. Yet that is not who God is, who Jesus was, and who St. Francis was. So in conclusion, I think that the readings today, as well as Moses and Jesus and Francis, they invite us along the spiritual journey of our lives as we try to follow Christ, to cultivate an inclusion impulse in our hearts. Think about it. To cultivate an inclusion impulse in our hearts and in our lives. And deep down we know that that is when we are at our best and reflect who God truly is.
Don't forget to follow St. Patrick's on Facebook or subscribe on YouTube. And please join us for any of our live stream masses this weekend. Details are below in the description. God bless you.
Like burning incense, O Lord, let my prayer rise up to you. Like burning incense, O Lord, let my prayer rise up to